I hadn't planned to speak. I wasn't asked. In fact, I was told, just be there, Alyssa. Let Lucas handle the rest. But when the pastor said, if anyone else would like to share a few words, something in me stood before I even realized it. My legs moved slow and steady. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. I just walked up, past the stairs, past the judgment, and unfolded the paper I'd kept folded in my purse for 2 weeks. Then I looked at the room full of people who clapped for my brother and for sister and never noticed when I disappeared from the will. And I said, they gave everything to the golden child, but they forgot who held them when they couldn't stand. If they could hear me now, I hope they're listening. So, before I tell you what I said when they handed everything to him and left me with nothing, hit that subscribe button and drop where you're watching from in the comments. My name is Alyssa Monroe. I'm 32 years old, born and raised in New Haven, Connecticut. I'm a registered nurse, which means I've spent the last decade of my life taking care of people who couldn't take care of themselves. Strangers mostly, but before them it was my family. My parents, Robert and Eleanor, weren't cruel, just traditional, old school. The kind who believed that love looked like stability. A roof over your head, a home-cooked meal, a stern nod when you did something right. Praise wasn't spoken, it was implied, and if you wanted affection, you learned to earn it. I was the eldest, the planner, the calm one, the one who always knew what to do in a crisis. That's what they said. I got good grades, never drank, took the night shifts when Dad's diabetes got worse. When Mom had her first fall, I moved back in without hesitation, canceled a trip, quit a job, never asked to be repaid. Lucas was the opposite, 4 years younger, louder, funnier. He left for college in California and never looked back. He missed Thanksgivings, forgot birthdays, but somehow, he was always the favorite. His mistakes were cute, mine were cautionary tales. His absences were understandable, mine would have been abandonment. Still, I didn't resent him. Not at first, I just thought I had a different role. I was the strong one, the steady one, the one who could be counted on when the hospital called or when Dad needed someone to read over his insurance forms. I believed, in the quiet parts of my heart, that when the time came, that would mean something. I believed them when they said, "You'll be taken care of, Alyssa, when the time comes." But I didn't realize back then, the time they were talking about would belong to Lucas, and the only thing I'd be left with was silence. The favoritism didn't show up all at once. It crept in slow and subtle like water under the floorboards. It started with how they spoke about Lucas, like everything he did was extraordinary even when it wasn't. He missed a holiday? He's so busy he's building something big. He forgot Mom's birthday? He probably meant to call. He posted a photo from a yacht party the same day Dad was in the ICU, and they still defended him. Meanwhile, I was there. Every day, every appointment, every grocery run, and still had to remind them I existed. I didn't need praise, but I wanted to feel like I mattered, like I wasn't just their caretaker, but still their daughter. After Dad passed, I sat in the attorney's office, heart heavy, hands folded in my lap. The same way I'd sat at so many hospital beds. I wasn't expecting a fortune. I was expecting fairness, or at the very least, recognition. But as the will was read, the truth unfolded line by line. To Lucas, the house. To Lucas, the car, the retirement account, the joint savings. To Lucas, the collection of watches, the lake property, the life insurance payout. To me, to Alyssa, who has always made her own way, that is, we leave our love. That's what they wrote, our love. And in that moment, I realized I hadn't just been cut out of the will. I'd been cut out of the narrative. The worst part wasn't what I didn't get, it was the look on Lucas's face, smug, almost apologetic, like he knew I was about to say something, but also knew I wouldn't. Mom didn't even make eye contact, she just dabbed at her eyes with a tissue and said, "You're independent, Alyssa, you'll be okay, you always are." As if being okay was something I chose, as if resilience was immunity. I walked out of the room before they finished the last clause. No one followed me, no one called after me. I went home to the apartment I paid for on a nurse's salary, the one I moved into after they sold the family home I thought I'd grow old in. And I sat there, staring at the ceiling, thinking, they meant it. They really meant it. The invitation to the funeral came via group text. No call, no message, just, Dad's service is Friday. Please be respectful. That last part, I knew who it was meant for. Lucas gave the eulogy. Of course he did. Clean suit, pressed voice, a perfect mix of laughter and tears. He spoke about the man Dad was. The builder, the dreamer, the father who always knew how to lift others up. I sat there wondering if we had the same dad. In my purse, I carried a folded piece of paper. I hadn't planned to use it. I'd written it during one of Mom's quiet days, more as therapy than intention. But when the pastor said, if anyone else would like to speak, I felt my feet move, not for revenge, not for recognition, but for the girl I used to be. The one who thought being the strong one meant staying silent. She deserved to be heard. Have you ever been written out by the people you showed up for? Like this video if you've ever been called strong, just so they wouldn't have to say, sorry. I don't remember standing, I just remember rising, slow, steady, as if the decision had been living in my bones long before the moment arrived. The room froze. The pastor looked surprised. Lucas stiffened. I could feel every pair of eyes on me like heat pressing against my skin. I walked to the podium without looking at anyone directly. My heels echoed against the marble floor, each step louder than the last. When I reached the front, I unfolded the paper I'd carried for 2 weeks, a folded grief, a rehearsed silence, and then I spoke. My name is Alyssa Monroe. I'm Robert and Eleanor's daughter. You may not have heard much about me lately. That's okay, I've been busy, mostly with caregiving, with wiping down countertops and checking blood sugar, with calling ambulances and holding hands in emergency rooms, with the kind of work that doesn't get Instagram posts or applause. No one moved. Lucas spoke beautifully just now about Dad's strength, about legacy, but I want to speak about presence. Because while legacy is passed down through things, presence is built in quiet moments, the ones no one sees, and in those moments I was there. I let the silence stretch, then kept going. They gave him the house, the money, the memories they wanted people to remember, but what they forgot was who held them when they were too tired to speak, who stayed when it wasn't convenient, who cleaned the mess no one else wanted to acknowledge. My voice didn't shake, not once. This isn't about inheritance, it never was. This is about truth. And truth, unlike property, can't be passed to someone who never earned it. There were gasps. A few people lowered their heads. Lucas stared at the floor like it might offer a way out. I looked out at the room. Some faces familiar, some just faces, and finished. If my voice cracks, it's not because I'm angry, it's because it's been held in for too long. I don't need a will to validate my worth. I don't need applause. I needed to say this. For the girl who gave everything and was left with nothing. And with that, I folded my paper, stepped down from the podium, and walked past the front row without looking back. No one clapped, but no one stopped me either. By the time I got home that afternoon, my phone had already started buzzing, missed calls, 2 voicemails, a string of texts from cousins I hadn't heard from in years. Apparently, someone had recorded my speech. It had already made the rounds through the family group chats and beyond. One message read, "That took guts." Another, "You said everything I wish I could have said at my mother's funeral." It wasn't going viral in the internet sense, it was going viral in the family sense. Quietly, sharply, like a secret everyone now had permission to say aloud. Lucas called me twice, left a long message the second time. "You blindsided everyone, Alyssa. That was a funeral. You made it about yourself. Do you know how that made Mom look?" I didn't respond, because for once I didn't owe anyone a soft answer. A few days later, I got a handwritten card in the mail. From a distant aunt I barely remembered. Inside was a folded $20 bill and a note that said, "You were never the problem, you were the truth." I laughed when I read it. Not out of humor, out of disbelief. All those years I sat quietly, and one 3-minute speech had done more than a decade of caregiving ever had. Lucas tried to do damage control, reposted a filtered family photo on Facebook with the caption, "Legacy Matters." He got 3 likes o borrowed tid and a comment thread full of sideways compliments like, "Your sister spoke beautifully. So proud of the both of you." Eleanor stopped coming to church for a few weeks. When she finally did, she kept her sunglasses on the whole service and left before the potluck. And me, I didn't post anything. I didn't correct anyone. I didn't explain. I let the truth sit where it landed. For the first time, it felt like the silence belonged to them, not me. A month later, I got an acceptance letter to a caregiver advocacy program I'd applied to on a whim, fully funded, sponsored by a community grant for women in healthcare. I hadn't told anyone I applied. I wasn't even sure I would follow through, but when I held the letter in my hand, addressed to Alyssa Monroe, I smiled. I moved out of my small 2-bedroom rental a few weeks after that, found a light-filled condo across town, quiet neighborhood, big windows, and a little balcony I filled with plants I never had time to care for before. I bought a couch, a soft one, the kind you don't let other people sleep on, the kind that's just for you. Lucas didn't call again, Mom didn't write, and I didn't chase either of them, not out of anger, but out of clarity. Some silences aren't punishments, they're boundaries. And this one, it felt like a room I finally walked out of and closed the door behind me. I went back to school part-time, started speaking at caregiver support circles, not as someone bitter, not as someone broken, but as someone who learned, finally, how to put herself on the list of people worth showing up for. And when people asked what happened at the funeral that day, I'd just say, I told the truth. Not for them, but for the version of me who kept swallowing it. It wasn't about the money. It never was. It was about being seen, heard, remembered for what I gave, and what I refused to let define me. They gave Lucas the will, I took the mic, and sometimes that's the louder inheritance. So what would you have done if they left you out of the will, but gave the mic to you instead? Drop your answer in the comments, and if this hits somewhere deep, share it. Someone out there needs the reminder that quiet doesn't mean forgotten.